I'm here to talk about complacency. It's not exciting, apologies, but it's really, really pertinent in our industry at the moment. I come from a vendor side. As you said, I've been a customer as well. I've been an end user. I'm used to seeing how businesses operate when they think about cybersecurity. So the quote at the top I'd like to draw your attention to first. A fool's paradise is a wise man's hell. Thomas Fuller, he was a really witty scholar, and there's a lot of phrases that he came out with that I quite admire. So I do try and keep my sessions quite light-hearted. I know cybersecurity can be fun. I'm trying to keep it fun for everybody, but there is a serious message to what I'm talking about today, why I'm here and why we're all here. So I will cover off what complacency is really in the cyber realm, the cost of it, the presumed responsibility, which is the major issue here, and a way forward. How do we deal with this? How do we work with this? I actually can't see any faces, by the way. I'm staring into complete darkness, so I hope there's more than just my two colleagues in here. That would be nice. I can hear more people. Okay, perfect. So I stole this from Google, work smarter, not harder. So complacency is just a feeling of contentment with oneself. It does come from the Latin of complacere, is to please and to satisfy. So if you sit there, you're a CISO or an IT manager, and you're quite happy with, you've got low alert levels, everything looks good, your dashboards are all green, nothing's broken, there's no data exfil, everyone's very happy. There probably is stuff going on and you do need to worry. It's not all doom and gloom though, don't worry. So, symptoms in customers, what do I see? I've been an end user, as I said, and now I speak to a hell of a lot of customers and partners. There's a massive over-reliance on certifications and audits. They're there for a reason, I understand, but do not rest on your laurels here. Just because you had an audit 6 months ago doesn't mean everything's okay. Please continue to review your processes, your disaster recovery, etc. It's a cycle, it's not a one-off. Stop being lazy. Don't rely on the auditors. Don't rely on your certifications. You should go out and review your tools, their effectiveness, cost effectiveness as well, and I'll get to the vendor side and the money side in a little bit. Review what you've got. And the other side is don't just hold back budget. If you're in charge of budget for cybersecurity, it's a costly business, I understand. But do not feel that you need to keep asking for more money or cutting your money down to keep on top of your threats, because I'll say it, money spent doesn't equal the level of security. You need to spend your money wisely. And the predicament, so 78%. Wow, when it's up here, that number looks massive. The size font that I used on my side was big, but that is a big number. So 78% of UK-based CISOs think that humans are the biggest risk. They are, but we can't blame them. Humans make mistakes, we're not robots, etc. So let's not just say, oh, it's the user's fault. We need to e-learn every year. We need to fish test them every month or whatever. I was speaking to someone earlier. He said, he was quite senior. He said he fell for his fish test, and he actually told his colleagues that he did. That's good. That's accountability, and we like that. We all make mistakes. So humans are the risk, but you can't just blame them and move on, because that's really not fair, and it could be any one of you. So don't make your policy a way of blaming humans. It's not fair. Asking for budget. So the third point I do want to draw some attention to is asking for budget as a CISO sometimes implies personal failure to them. CISOs that I meet with, I used to meet with them a lot in a previous role, they do not like continuously asking for more money, because they feel that the board's saying, oh God, it's him again, or her. There are a few women CISOs. They're asking for more money again. Why do they keep absorbing so much money into this cybersecurity department? I'm not going to keep giving them money. What are they doing with the money I give them? So CISOs sometimes are in this horrible dilemma of needing more budget to up the ante, to go against the bad guys with their hoodies. They don't look like that, actually. They don't want to keep asking for money, so they're in a bit of a predicament. And alert fatigue, as I said before at the start, just because you've got less alerts or more alerts isn't a true representation of your posture. And I'm all for a fan of a sports massage, by the way. I know Dave mentioned that. This is great, by the way. It's okay, we've got e-learning. Who here, feel free to raise your hand or shout, or if you don't want to, it's fine. Who here thinks their company is a bit reliant on e-learning as a way of saying that they're safe? Okay, yeah, there's a few mutterings. It's okay, if you're sat next to your manager, I understand. There's a lot of reliance on e-learning. It's great. It's a massive business, by the way. I think it's good. I'm a fan, but I've seen when it goes wrong, and I've seen poor effort put into the attacks or the phishing emails that are created, and they're really obvious. A state-sponsored, I won't name certain countries, they will create phishing emails that you would not recognise, okay? So the e-learning is good, it's like exercising, but imagine that you're on a bike with a really low resistance. For other Peloton lovers, yes, talking about resistance. If you're on a really low resistance, you're just trundling along. We need to up it a bit more and make people sweat a bit more when they're doing these phishing tests, etc. Another big font, I need to calm down with it. 61%, so that's quite a big number. I would say it's just over half. I do think it's higher than that. Leadership does overlook the role of cybersecurity. As I said back to the CISO comment, they're seen as this pot that just wants more and more money. To me, cybersecurity should be ingrained into every single department. A lot of practices that I've heard about have champions in other business areas, so they do have a cybersecurity champion or someone who's just keen on it, but they live in different business areas to do with legal, marketing, etc., which is good. And I do think it's more than 61%. I think cybersecurity is massively overlooked. But they all want to phone you when something goes wrong, don't they? Vendors. Speaking about myself now, I do work for Sonic Wall. Disengagement from clients. So as a vendor, really, why are we here? We want to make money, first and foremost. So if we disengage from our clients and they just keep renewing and they keep giving us the money every 3 years, we're happy, right? Because we've got the money, we can run as we want to. But if you don't listen to your clients, you're not getting the feedback loop and learning how to develop your tools. Everyone needs cybersecurity is our approach. There's always a business for us. It's a great industry to be in. Again, speaking to others earlier, there will always be work. There will always be bad guys or girls. There will always be products to sell and solutions to pitch. And the last point is really important. I keep drawing your attention to each point, saying it's important. Each point is important. It takes effort to innovate, to hire highly skilled engineers and developers who will innovate and push your products to the next generation of what they need to be, especially your AI bouncing around. We're using AI as a vendor, fine, other vendors are. So are the bad guys. So it's cat and mouse again. Cat and mouse will never die off. We'll be busy on either side of the playing field. And why? So $200 billion is the estimated size for the industry. It's way more than that. It's a saturated industry. I was saying to a young lady this morning, you will go to these conferences, you'll meet loads of vendors, they will promise you the world. If they do, walk away. We cannot fix everything. We can only fix so much of your problem. So you may need to go to different vendors for different solutions, but make sure they're ones who genuinely have your best interest and your security at heart, not ones who just add you to a list of customers and only phone you when it's time for renewal. Customers don't want change, so I'm going to push it back a bit. Vendors get lazy or comfortable and complacent because customers don't want change. They don't like it when their assets that they've sweated for years and years, we cut it off. It's end of life. Sort yourself out and buy something new. They get all hesitant because if a vendor is so ingrained in their company and their policies and they're a known entity and they love that, that change is very difficult for them and then they will not want to change. So they might just renew and follow what they're told rather than questioning, do we need to renew with you? Should we go with someone else? What do we want from this product? The million-dollar question then. Whose fault is it? Should vendors push their customers more to improve the products, or should customers push the vendors and have a cycle of vendors pushing customers, customers pushing vendors? Whose side is it? This is brilliant, and it looks great up there as well. I'm happy about that. Whose job is it then? Should the vendors be saying to the customers, you need to be doing this, have you tested your tools recently, have you done a stress test, etc.? Or is it the other way around? Is it the other side saying, what can you do for me? These threats are coming out, I want to know how I'm protected. Who does it sit with? So culpability. Whose job is it anyway? So the future view, I'm not saying there's a right and wrong side, but I hope what I've implied here is that it's a bit of both. So focus groups and critical peers. For certain industries, there are regulators and information sharing forums, etc. If you work in the financial services, there's FS Isaac and things like that. The legal Isaac exists as well. They're ones I know I've been part of. Critical peers are important too. We should all take criticism. No one's perfect. So speak with your peers about vendors that they're using or vendors that they've trialed with. What was the outcome? Did it work? Yes, certain vendors may try and schmooze you with dinners and holidays and meals, fine, but get to the crux of what their products are offering, look into the history of their products, who are their engineers now, what was their background, where are they moving to, is all very, very important. Symbiotic relationship, so like coral and algae that lives on it, you need each other, and I will go back, I didn't draw this. This is the point of a symbiotic relationship. If let's pretend that me, the vendor, is the ostrich here and the customer is a zebra, we need each other to better bolster ourselves. That's key. Without customers, there are no vendors, and without security vendors, there'd be no customers because your data would just be on the black market, or even not the black market, the normal market, and people could buy that data for not very much money at all. We do need each other, so, go back, this clicker is great. We do need each other to improve. We need the feedback from customers, partners, service providers into us vendors to see how are you using the tool, what works for you, what doesn't work, and what don't you like. Like, moan at us, rant at us, tell us what needs improving. Likewise, us vendors will be saying to customers, oh, you had a near breach, or you had an issue, you had like a P1, that wasn't great. How did it go? How did we help you manage that? What could we do more? What do you need to see from us? Do you have an uptick in intrusion attempts? Talking about cryptojacking, our latest report saw nearly a 400% uptick in cryptojacking. That's a massive number, and it was up last time, and it's up again. So all these things are still going on. The bad guys will continue to keep adapting. As I said about AI, we're using it to better ourselves. The world is using it to do all sorts of great things, but so are the bad guys. They're changing the looks of how attacks appear. So obfuscation, steganography, that's kind of old news now. AI is the new route to masking your attempts. I'll just show this one again. So just think about yourselves as the zebras here. If you're a customer, ask the ostrich what they can do for you so you can protect yourselves. It's all about the symbiotic relationship. It's not just pay a vendor, expect a service or a tool. You should be demanding more. Don't settle. I made this slide myself, it's terrible. I'm just trying to say it's a fine balance between contentment. I'm not saying live on the edge of your seat constantly, worrying about attacks left, right, and centre. There's all these big graphs you'll see of like an intrusion map where there's things flying across the world between different countries. That's all very true and very accurate, but for you, just focus more on, okay, we've been audited, etc. You've got accreditations, you've been through stress testing and so on. Fine, and learn from the outcomes of that. Talk to your vendors, review your tools, review your spending on the tools as well, but make a fine balance between not just then each year just doing the same thing and just running the same reports, pushing the same buttons. Just review what you're doing on, I won't say a number because you'll say Katie said this, more than an annual basis. Don't wait until it actually happens. And $10 million, I shouldn't have used dollars, I should change it to pounds, is kind of the average cost of a breach. I would argue that till the cows come home. Depends on your company size. It depends if you're regulated and who you're regulated by and where that data ends up.